This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, now let's talk about topics in SAP FICO module. What are all the topics that we are going to have within your SAP FICO module? Let's try to understand. So your SAP FICO module, we will classify into FI, in short, financial accounting. On the other side, we also call it as CO, which is your controlling. This is also called as cost and management accounting. CO or cost or management accounting. First, let's try to focus on FI module. In short, in financial accounting module, what topics we are going to have. First one, you will be having baseline configuration. First thing that you have is baseline configuration. When you talk about baseline configuration, we are talking about all the initial setting, in short, the organization structure or enterprise structure or company code global parameters. People call it with different names, different terminologies. Either you call it as baseline config, organization structure, or enterprise structure, or company code global parameters. Everything is part of your baseline config. Once baseline configuration is completed, you are going to have general ledger, followed by your accounts payable, accounts receivable, asset accounting, cash accounting, bank accounting. Next, you are going to have sales and purchase tax. Next one, withholding tax. Next, you will have FIMM integration, FISD integration. Next thing, validations, substitutions, leading and non-leading ledgers, parallel currencies, GL reports, financial statements, in short, TB, PNL, balance sheet, ledger specific postings, cash journals, and house banks, automatic payment program, check printing or check management. Next, DME or payment medium workbench. Next one, report painters, functional specifications, tables, and field logics. screen and transaction variance. Next one, month end activities, year end activities, cutover activities, catch over activities, legacy balance, upload, master data, upload, LSMW, LTMC, mass, default, account, assignments, your cost center and profit center. You can switch off your camera. Those who have switched it on, you can switch it off. Next. Logical understanding of errors. If I put down payments, financial statement version, document splitting, different business process scenarios. I'm not writing completely, whatever is important, only those points I'm writing, but we will be learning, we will be discussing about many other things apart from what I am writing here. If I write everything, it will become a huge list. So I'm trying to write only the points which are more important, which will make you understand what exactly you are going to learn during the session or during the course. So far these are sufficient. The other points I'll be keep on adding to this list. So in FI I have written 42 topics. If I elaborate each topic with different scenarios, it will cross more than 100. But I'm not elaborating everything. I'm just writing at high level what is that is we are going to discuss, or that is something that you must know about SAP FI. Similarly, when we talk about controlling, we will be talking about cost elements, cost centers, internal orders, cost allocations, assessment cycle, distribution cycle, product costing, material ledger, profitability analysis, month end activities, reports in controlling. Okay, so these are the basic points that we will be talking about controlling, and these are the basic points that we will be talking about financial accounting. Okay, those who have a little confusion, that those who are not sure what exactly you're going to learn in SAP FICO course, these are the mandatory topics that you must be knowing, that you must be learning during your course. Apart from this, there is a small topic huge list that we will not be considering as course content, because those are mandatory topics that must be known to everybody who says that I know SAP FICO. So if we keep writing every point, it will become a huge list. So I'm not writing those points. Those points I will be explaining as and when it is required. Okay, in short, these are the topics that we will be covering. And apart from this, there are different other topics that I have not listed here, but you will be knowing various other topics, various other functionalities apart from what we have listed here. Next one. How we will be configuring the system. Okay, the first point that you should question yourself is how we will be configuring the system. When I say how we will be configuring the system, I mean when you are practicing, how are you going to set up the system, how you are going to have your practice. Point number one, you are not going to do configuration straightforward or straight away. No blind configurations are made. No material is given from my side which contains the step-by-step screenshot. Everything is explained practically with live scenarios, practical examples, along with the financial impact, along with the accounting entries. If you are creating something, we will be discussing about why we are going to create it, how this will be created in a project, who will give you this information, as a consultant, how exactly you will act. These points first we will try to understand. Only after that we will go to the detailed configuration. Before that, we will be trying to understand the scenario process first, along with the financial or the accounting impact. Once we are clear with it, then we will be configuring in the system. We will verify whatever we are configuring, whether this is right from the accounting point of view or not. It is not that we will do some configuration, we will leave it, and we do not know whether what we did is correct or not, whether is this the same that is followed, that is configured in the real environment, in short, in the actual project or not. You must know right from the beginning. Whatever you are configuring, whatever you are knowing, whatever you are practicing, make sure it is exactly the same or it is similar to how it is actually performed in any real project. For which I already told, you must have a network of people who are learning SAP FICO like you, people who already completed SAP FICO course, people who are working as SAP and FICO end user, people who are giving interviews on SAP FICO, people who are working as SAP FICO consultants. Make sure you have a network or you have friends, people in your circle who belong to any of these criteria, if possible all the criterias. Make sure you verify what you are learning with those people to make sure that you are comfortable, you are confident enough. You need to gain your confidence right from the beginning in order to sustain, in order to become a successful consultant in the market. Tomorrow you should not realize the points that I'll be talking about in the upcoming sessions. Different practical, realistic things I'll be explaining, which you may be surprised, shocked. But to overcome all those points, all those fears, the false information that people will give around you, make sure you have a network wherein you will be able to gather the information, you will be able to validate, you will be able to verify, compare, and then see your progress. This is very important in order to learn. It is not that you joined a course, I am teaching you something, you are listening to what I am telling, but you are not practicing, you are not putting in your efforts. This is not going to work out. It has to be two-way effort. I'll give my 100%. I want you also to give your 100% so that you will achieve your success. Right? The end target of me or the end target of you must be the same, you getting the job. Right? For that, I'll put my equal effort. I want you to put more than what I am putting in my efforts. Because I'm already working, I'm already training, I'm gaining money from you. So it is always a beneficial part for me, but for you to get it beneficial, you need to put more efforts. Clear? Be very practical, be realistic, make sure you verify things on the market on a daily basis. Clear? It's not that whatever I teach you blindly follow me, never do it. Compare what I am teaching, verify what you're understanding, and make sure if you are able to do it on your own or not. If you are able to if you are able to consider all these points, there is no way that you will not become a consultant. There is no way that you will not understand the subject. The end point, the main intention or the objective is to make sure you learn the subject properly, you gain the knowledge which is sufficient, which will give you confidence when you're in the interview, which will give you confidence to work independently to impress the other person when you're in a project. It's a one-time effort that you're going to put, whether it is time or whether it is your money. Make sure you invest your time, you invest your money in the effective way so that you get more benefited. Clear? Now, when it comes to configuration, so what exactly we mean when we talk about configuration? Point number one, I told no configuration documents. We will not have any configuration document which will tell you step number one, go to transaction code. Step number two, look at the screenshot. Step number three, type whatever is given on the screenshot. That approach we are not going to follow. That approach will not be followed here. I will explain everything conceptually. I will explain you 10 times if it requires for you to understand it 10 times. But make sure you ask me 10 times and make sure I'll explain you 10 times. But do not ask me for a configuration document. If you require configuration document for your practice, please download it from Google. If you want to practice based on looking at a configuration document, there is no point of joining any training institute. There is no point of making money or paying money to any trainer, because you have to think practically. You get configuration document for free of cost on the Google. Variety of documents you will get. Everything will have detailed step-by-step screenshot, which I may also not be able to show you all the screenshots. But if you feel that you need to do configuration based on the step-by-step document material screenshot, that I will not be providing. Okay, I'll make sure you understand why you are doing the configuration, on what basis you will create the configuration, who will give you the requirement, how you will understand the requirement, what kind of a documentation you will prepare before you create the configuration document. Point number one, no configuration documents will be given. Point number two, accounting and financial impact must be understood. You need to ensure that you will understand the accounting impact or financial impact for every configuration that you are doing. I don't want anybody to configuration blindly. Whatever the way that you wanted to practice, you are not supposed to practice that way. You must understand why you are configuring this, what will be the financial impact, what will be the accounting impact with that. Okay, and prepare your own examples and create the same in SAP. I want you to prepare your own examples and then create them in SAP. When I am configuring the system, when I explain any particular company code, I will explain you why we are doing what we are doing, who will give you all this information. I'll explain you in detail with practical examples. Everything that I give you, everything that I show you, I will write from my side on the Excel sheet. The way I'm writing now, every point, all the important points, screenshots, T-code, table, whatever the points that you need to remember, everything I will write on the Excel sheet while taking the class. You do not need to maintain or you do not need to write any running notes. Every important point I will write on the Excel sheet. After the class, this Excel sheet will be shared with you. If you open the Excel sheet, if you go through the Excel sheet, whatever we have discussed, Everything you will find on the Excel sheet, including the T code, table, screenshot, wherever is applicable. But looking at the same example, looking at the Excel sheet, you have to make your own example. If I create one company code or if I create one scenario with one example, I want you to create another scenario with another example of your own choice. Make sure you are able to replicate, you are able to understand, and then you are able to create your own examples and create your own examples according to your understanding on SAP. Check what kind of errors you are facing, why the errors are coming, what is there in your mind, what you want to do from SAP, what you want to see from SAP, what configuration steps you have done, and what output you are expecting, what output you are currently getting. If you are facing any error, why the error is coming, all these points you have to understand, you have to monitor right from the beginning. When I configure, I will show you everything with errors. When I configure, I will show you everything with errors, which means whatever the errors that are possible when you practice, all those possible errors I will get while practicing or while showing to you on the session. And each error I will explain you why we are getting this error, where we are going wrong, whether this error is correct or not, based what was our requirement to meet this requirement, whether we need to input certain fields or not. All this kind of information I will explain you in detail. Based on that, I want you to understand and I want you to prepare your own example and create accordingly in your company code while practicing. Any errors, any confusions, any doubts, any issues that you face, you are always free to put a message to me on WhatsApp. I'll respond to you. Once the actual sessions will begin, we are going to have a new WhatsApp group in which I'll include everybody, whoever enrolls, and you can put a message of your doubts, questions, clarifications, issues, errors. You can take a screenshot. You don't need to wait until we connect tomorrow. If you are practicing now, take the screenshot, put it on the group immediately. Wait for 5-10 minutes. Make sure that somebody is responding to your question, either me or anybody who has already practiced on that particular topic will tell this error may be because of this reason, try this, try that. If nobody is responding, make sure that you put a message to me in case if I miss out responding or if I do not look at the messages. I'll make sure that you get the response to make sure your practice continues. You're not supposed to hold your practice because you're getting an error and I'm not available, or you will have to ask me this error in the next class. Please do not do it. This way you are wasting a lot of time. Okay, if you get any error, if you get any issues, make sure you take this screenshot or you type in your question, put it in WhatsApp, whether it is a simple silly question or a valid question. But make sure whatever the doubts, confusions, questions you get in your mind are clarified. If you are not asking your question, if you are not opening up with your questions, confusions, then you will be the loser. So make sure you will ask, you will clarify, get your all questions, confusions clarified. I am open to answer any question that you ask. If I do not know, I will tell that I am not aware of it, but I'll make sure I'll give you the answer the next day. But make sure any questions, confusions that you have, please ask your questions. Do not hide your questions. No rule that one should know everything. I am also no exception to it. I also do not know anything. I also do not know everything. Whatever I am aware of, I will tell you. Whatever I am not aware of, I will find out and then I'll tell you. But make sure whether this is relevant or not relevant is secondary. First ask whatever is running in your mind, get it clarified. Clear? And you need to practice on a daily basis. When I say you need to practice on a daily basis, I want to make sure whatever the topics we are covering, whatever the topics that we are discussing, I want you to practice on a daily basis. If not, make sure you are up to date with 2 days delay or 3 days delay, maximum 1 week delay. When I say maximum 1 week delay, not beyond that. Let's say if you are configuring or if you are practicing today, I want you to be up to date at least till last week, whatever we did, but not beyond that. If you are not practicing on a daily basis, If you are not up to date with your configurations and with your understanding, every day we will be talking about a new topic. Every day we will be talking about a new setting or configuration functionality. Things will keep on accumulating and it will become a huge burden for you to complete all the configurations, to understand everything. In SAP, one drawback is everything is related, everything is interconnected. If you do not understand point number 2, point number 3 may not be understood. Even if you understand point number 3, but if you want to practice point number 3, if you do not have point number 2 settings in place, point number 3 settings cannot be made. So there are dependencies, there are links, connections which I want everybody to understand. Okay, it is not about just doing the configuration. As I said, if anybody is planning that I want to know only the configuration, it is of no use paying money to me or to anybody. Configuration you will get for free of cost from the Google. Go type SAP FICO configuration, you will get hundreds of PDF documents right from SAP itself. You don't need to depend on any trainer material. You can freely download SAP official training documents or SAP official books. But that is not going to make you understand what you are doing, why you are doing, how you will do this when you are in a project. The intention objective is to make sure tomorrow when you're talking to somebody, when you're talking to your interviewer, when you're talking to your project manager, or when you talk to a user, when you talk to any client, the other person will feel that yes, what you're talking is right. They should be your target. Whoever you talk to about SAP FICO, the other person must say that yes, whatever you are talking, whatever you're explaining is correct. The other person should not say that what you said is wrong. If somebody is telling that you're wrong, make sure you have valid reasons, valid justifications why you're telling this way. Let it be anybody. Tell that this is what is my understanding. Because of these points, I am explaining it this way. Can you tell me why you're telling this is wrong? According to you, what is right? Make sure you're confident enough to put a cross question if somebody tells that you're wrong. Don't feel that somebody is telling that I am wrong. I don't know where I am going wrong. Don't think that way. Don't be in the negative mindset. Clear? And anything that we are talking about configuration, please remember that configuration is equivalent to data entry in any project. Configuration is as simple as like a data entry in any project. Now those who have already learnt SAP, those who are familiar with SAP, when it comes to configuration, if you open any configuration document, it is going to have the T code which you need to open. Looking at the T code, you will log into SAP, you will open a transaction code. It will tell click on new entries. You will look at it. You will be clicking on new entries. It will tell add a particular value 4-digit alphanumeric key. You will also put a 4-digit alphanumeric key on your configuration document. If it contains country as India, you will put country as India. If it contains currency INR, you will put currency INR. If it contains language English, you will put language English. If it says click on save, you will click on save. If it says select a TR, press enter. You also will do the same thing. You also press enter. On the configuration, it is getting saved. On your system, it is getting saved. But what you have done, do you know why you have created this way? You are not aware, because why you are doing this is not mentioned in your configuration document. Why you are doing this and how you need to do it, what points you need to consider before you do configuration steps is not mentioned on the configuration material. The same thing you need to make sure you are understanding before you do any configuration. You are convinced with the logic. You should have your own understanding. You should have your own logic. Because of these reasons, I am configuring like this. This is my requirement. Based on my requirement, I am creating like this. In short, if I put a simple example here, let's say I am practicing SAP FICO with company code, let's say something AJ10 is my company code. I am practicing SAP FICO with one company code called AJ10. In this, let's say I have configured baseline configured, I have configured GL, I have configured AP, AR, assets, cash, bank, and so on. Question yourself whether you are able to explain to another person, maybe to yourself on a mirror, why you have configured, why did you take AJ10 as your company code? Do you have an answer for it? Question yourself, if you have configured one company code and your company code is AJ10, put a question to yourself, why did you create AJ10 as your company code? What is the reason? What is the logic? Similarly, for every setting, put a question to yourself, why did you create like this? What is your requirement? If you are able to answer to these questions, you will be able to answer to anybody. If you are unable to answer to these questions to yourself, it is very difficult for you to talk to somebody on SAP FICO, for you to sit confidently in front of your interviewer, for you to work confidently, for you to face your client, for you to talk, discuss with your users. It is very difficult if you are not able to answer yourself for what you are practicing. Because it is you who created this company code as AJ10 and you are not able to tell me why you are creating AJ10 as your company code. If you have no answer why you created this company code, definitely you will have no answer to talk. Definitely you have no explanation, no logical convincing points with you to clear your interview tomorrow when you sit in any interview. Everything that you do, make sure you relate it with your interview, you relate it with your project. Don't think that what you're learning, what you're practicing is different. What you will be questioned in your interview is different. What you will be doing in your project is different. Now, be very careful with one term called real time. This is a dangerous term. This is a little dangerous term. Beware of this term called real time. Because many people will get cheated with this term called real time. When somebody says real time training, first you should put a question, what do you mean by real time training? When I say real time training, I should put another term called dummy training. Correct? When I say real time, I should also mention dummy or fake. So if you are talking about SAP FICO, make sure what you are learning is real time SAP FICO or dummy fake SAP FICO. For you to understand whether you are learning real time SAP FICO or dummy fake SAP FICO, it is you who has to figure it out. Nobody will come and tell you that what you are learning is fake. You will come to know this on your interview. When you sit in your first interview, that is where you are going to realize whether what you learnt is real-time SAP FICO or what you learnt is dummy or fake SAP FICO. Don't wait until you sit in your first interview and don't realize at last minute. Instead, start realizing right from the beginning. Accordingly, you have your plan. When you are deciding to step into SAP, when you are deciding to join SAP FICO or learn SAP FICO, decide whether you want to learn real-time SAP FICO or dummy fake SAP FICO. First, you need to know what is real-time FICO, what is dummy FICO. You have to understand whatever you do here, you will be doing exactly the same thing in your project. If it is the same, that is your real time. Whatever you practice, whatever you do here, it is entirely different in your project. That is not called as real time project or real time training, real time learning that you are having. For this to happen, for you to realize these points, you must know that whatever you are learning, whatever you are practicing is correct, is valid. For this to happen, nobody will come and check, nobody will come and ask what you are doing, how you are doing. It is you who has to take that lead. It is you who has to take that responsibility. It is you who has to make sure you are learning right thing. Otherwise, it is you who is going to lose. Everything is in your hand. How you convert the things, it is your choice. Because nobody will have any control on your career, nobody will have any control on your practice. If you are not serious, nobody will be serious. Because the reason why I'm talking about this is 90% and 10%. Whoever learns SAP FICO, 90% will not get jobs in SAP FICO. This is fact. If you take 100 people who are learning SAP FICO, you will realize 90% of them will not get SAP FICO consultant job. Only 10% will get SAP FICO consultant job. If you do not believe me, as I said, have a network, figure out, you will be shocked to know the result. Okay, why 90% people are not getting SAP FICO jobs, joining the SAP FICO course? Reason, it is not something that you can learn within 90 days. This is not something that you can learn within 45 days. It takes time. As I said, 1 month it will take for anybody to understand. 1 month it takes anybody for anybody to get familiar, to feel comfortable, confident with the system. After this 1 month only, you are supposed to start your learning, because during this 1 month you will realize what is actually SAP FICO, what is there inside it, whether you are able to understand everything, whether you are feeling comfortable, confident that you can learn everything within 90 days and you can get the job. These kind of things are possible after 1 month for anybody, no exception for this. If you really want to learn SAP FICO, if you want to get SAP FICO consultant job on your own, with your knowledge, with your skill set, it takes 1 month for you to realize whether this will suit you or not. Realize whether SAP suits you, or on the other side, whether you are suitable for SAP or not. SAP cannot decide. SAP says I am suitable for everybody, but you decide whether you are suitable to SAP or not. For that, make sure you put basic checkpoints, basic checklist. Talk to people, discuss with people, understand the market reality. Only after that you take a call. It's not that I want to make a career in SAP. It is not that the moment you complete your 3 months, 4 month course, you get a job. It is not like that. So it's something different. The way, the approach that you follow right from the beginning should be in a systematic way to ensure you learn the subject properly. And when you talk, the other person will say that what you're talking is correct. Whether you get job or not is always a secondary. Make sure whatever you're talking, whatever you're learning is right, is correct. The other person should say that yes, what you're talking is correct. If you talk correct, if you have the good knowledge, automatically you will get the job in the market. Clear? Now all the configurations that you are going to do, you are not going to have any configuration document, you are not going to have any configuration materials. What I will be sharing is only the Excel sheet, in which I am going to write all the business processes, requirements that we are talking about, configuration related T codes, screenshots, tables, whatever is needed from your project point of view, interview point of view, for your interview, for your understanding point of view. Small points also I will be writing on the Excel sheet and I will share it with you. If you go through the Excel sheet, that is more than sufficient. You do not require any material, you do not require any configuration document. Another point that I want you to keep in your mind here is, tomorrow you want to become SAP FICO consultant. Tomorrow you want to become an SAP FICO consultant. As a SAP FICO consultant, point number one, you have to gather the business requirement. Point number two, understand the business requirement. Point number three, document the business requirement. Point number four, configure the system based on business requirement. Point number 5, prepare configuration document. Point number 6, test all the business scenarios from your side in development system. Point number 7, prepare test document. Point number 8, provide training to the business users. Point number 9, create user manuals. Point number 10, clarify, provide support to business users. Now, these are the 10 key points that you have to keep in your mind when you want to become a SAP FICO consultant. Point number 1, you must be in a position to gather the requirement. When I say you must be in a position to gather the requirement, if you talk to a user, if you talk to a person who is working on any organization, let's say you are talking to me, I am working on accounts payable. Make sure you are able to understand how I am working on my accounts payable. Don't expect that I will tell you everything what I am doing on accounts payable. Instead, make sure if you are able to put questions to me to get whatever the information that you require. Make sure you are able to talk to me from SAP point of view. You are able to talk to me from SAP point of view to get what information you require to set up accounts payable in SAP. That is your point number 1. Point number 2, when you ask my accounts payable process, whatever I am explaining, check if you are able to understand what I am talking about accounts payable or not. Whether you are able to understand my business requirement or my business process which I am talking about. Point number 3, whether whatever you understood from my business process, are you able to document it? Like this is what you are performing your accounts payable or any other process for that example. Whether you are able to document it. If yes, fine. If not, we need to think about it. Point number 4, configure the system based on business requirement. When you are talking about configuring any particular module, any particular functionality, make sure the above 3 points are fulfilled. Okay, you took my business requirement, you understood my business requirement, you documented my business requirement. After that, I have checked and validated, confirmed, yes, whatever you are understanding, whatever you have documented about my business process is correct. Based on this, you are going to start your configuration, which means you are not supposed to straight away get into the system, start configuring. When you know that this is the reality, you are not supposed to practice left and right from the beginning. Whatever comes in your mind, please do not configure. That is not the way you are going to configure, or that is not the way you are going to work when you become a consultant. Try to relate as much as possible to the reality and then practice. When you do this, tomorrow when you are in the interview, tomorrow when you are in a project, you will find it more comfortable, you will feel more confident. Otherwise, you start getting nervous, you start getting panic. Whatever I have learned, whatever I have practiced is entirely different. So you should not feel that and you should not realize it. You should feel, you should realize everything the way I practiced, it is the similar or it is the same almost. When you feel this kind of environment, you automatically feel more confident, you feel more comfortable, you feel relaxed. This feel is what you have to plan. This feel is what you need to achieve when you are sitting in the interview, when you are sitting in the project. To achieve these 2 points right from the beginning, what you are doing is very, very important. After you do the configuration, you need to make sure you will prepare the configuration document. Let's say if you prepared configuration of 10 steps, it is your responsibility as a consultant to prepare a configuration document exactly the same way that you find configuration document on Google. Today you are searching for FICO configuration document, FICO material, but in reality tomorrow you have to prepare those documents. If you are dependent on the document to configure, how you will prepare a document what you have configured? Practically not possible. You are again dependent on Google for everything. So don't do it. So understand the business requirement. According to the business requirement, make the configuration. Whatever you configured, same thing you need to take a screenshot and put it on a document. Simple. Next one, once your configuration is completed, you have to test whatever you have configured. You need to make sure that the system is working fine. But how do you make sure that system is working fine? You need to test the system. How you will test the system? You will test the system based on the business process. Now, business process you have already discussed with the client. When you discussed with the client about their business process, you would have understood their business process steps or business process scenarios, in short, test cases or test script. Once you get this information, make sure each and every test case, each and every test case or each and every test script, you are able to test, you are able to see the result, financial impact. Make sure you are convinced with what you have done first. Only after you are convinced, you need to conduct, or once your testing is done, you need to prepare a test document. Prepare a document which talks about these are the scenarios that are applicable or that are there in this particular project, in this particular client. This is what I have tested. These are the test result. Once these test cases are prepared, test results are done, you are convinced with it, then you need to provide training to the user. Then you need to provide training to the user. So users will sit in front of you, or you will schedule a meeting. You have to train the user. You have to share your screen, present your screen. Now, so far you are learning. Tomorrow, the moment you get a job, you have to be in a position to train. How do you post a document? How master record is created? How report is generated? Why the report value is coming like this? While creating master data, while creating a transaction, while posting an entry, what points I need to enter? How will I know that I need to input this value here? What will happen if I give wrong information? All these points you have to explain, you have to conduct a training to the users. And any questions that the users are asking during your training session, make sure you are able to answer, you are able to clarify their confusions. And then you need to prepare user manuals. Now you are depending on the document material. Tomorrow you are supposed to produce, you are supposed to prepare the user manual which will contain author prepared by your name. Tomorrow you have to publish a user manual. Tomorrow you have to publish a training material manual which contains the author or created by your name. So you are going to be an author tomorrow, but don't dependent on somebody else who prepared it for your practice. Think what you will be doing tomorrow when you become a consultant. Accordingly, prepare yourself right from the beginning. And finally, you need to provide support to the business users on their day-to-day business operations, whatever the queries, problems, issues, or improvements that they need. As a FICO consultant, you must be there to support them. This is what you will be doing as a FICO consultant. When you are learning SAP FICO course, make sure you are able to meet all these requirements. These points are always there in your mind. Only then it is possible for you to track your progress. It is possible for you to understand whether whatever you are practicing is meaningful, is going to help you clearing your interview, working effectively in your project or not. And assume if you feel that I have to learn my course within 45 days, within 60 days, within 90 days, considering all these points, you have to practically think openly whether this is practically possible or not. If you feel this is practically possible, you can proceed with it, but honestly, this is not possible. To be very honest, to be very genuine, not possible. You need to invest some good amount of time, at least 4 months it will take for you to understand things in a proper way. Within that, it is practically not possible. If you want me to talk openly with you, not possible. Within 3 months, highly not possible, I'll tell you. Possible with certain exceptions, like you are going with proxy interview, you are going with backdoor job, and you are going to take backend support or these kind of things, you are dependent on somebody which is a paid service, then that there may be a possibility. But if you want to independently clear your interview, if you want to work independently without depending on anybody, you must invest minimum 4 months, so that in your lifetime you don't have to depend on anybody. Instead, you will see people depending on you, asking you to explain me what is this, how to understand this. Reach that level where the other person will seek your information, the other person will need your help. But instead, you don't depend on other person's help. Try to do things in a different way, so that tomorrow you will find the difference. Tomorrow you will be proud of what you have done. Clear? Any questions? If you have any questions, you can ask about this, what I've told till now.
Ajay,
Yes.
sure, thanks. Mine is not a question, but it's actually to say thank you because I've done training before with other guys online, and they were not honest to tell the truth that within a specified time you will not be able to complete or you will not be able to fully understand SAP. But I'm glad that right from the onset you have been honest with us to say if you want to be a better consultant or to be able to excel, this is how long it's going to take. So myself as the person who's intending to be trained, I then now need to commit time and resources to be able to attend so that I can get the information and be taught how SAP works. I'm thankful for that. Thanks so much, Ajay. Thanks.
Yeah. So as I said, it takes approximately 1 month for you to understand how SAP works, what exactly we are going to do on SAP FICO. Your training duration, whatever it is, you must count from second month onwards. If your training duration, if you say 60 days, please count your 60 days from 31st day. Don't include first month, because first month is where you're trying to understand the system, is where you're trying to get yourself familiar with the system. If I say that 1 month I have completed a 20% of your syllabus, 30% of your syllabus, I'm only telling that 1 month you are not going to understand anything, you will be in a question mark state. So after that, whatever we do, you are going to understand. From there, it takes approximately 4 months time for you to understand, practice, so that you will get the confidence that is required to clear your interview independently without any fear. You can openly go talk to any person as if you have around 5 to 6 years of genuine SAP FICO experience. Forget about you talk like a fresher, a trained candidate. You will be talking like a candidate who, if somebody has around 5 to 6 years of genuine SAP FICO experience, the way talk better than that you will be talking after 4 months. So I openly tell, you can check, verify with people who are working on SAP FICO as consultants right from day one that you start your training. And wherever you find that this is what people are telling that I am wrong, you can put a question to me. I will explain you why we are doing like this. And if somebody is asking you a question, or if somebody is telling what you're telling is wrong, make sure you're not silent. Make sure you will give a reverse answer. These are the points. This is what my understanding. According to this, I am telling like this. Put a question back. Can you tell me on what basis you are telling I am wrong? Do not accept if somebody is telling you're wrong. Tell your understanding, this is what the logic behind my explanation, and can you tell me why you told I am wrong? Can you tell me what is right? Make sure you are confident enough to put these kind of questions. If somebody is telling that you're wrong, Let it be with anybody, whether it is with your friend, whether it is with your interviewer, whether it is with your colleague when you're in a project. Let them understand on what basis you are telling these points. If you are wrong, let them explain why it is not correct and what is correct. If somebody cannot say that what is correct, they cannot say that this is wrong. Agree? If I am telling that you are wrong, I must be in a position to tell what is right. If I am unable to tell what is right, I have no right to say you are wrong. And you please do not accept if somebody says you are wrong. Put a cross question. Make sure when you put a cross question, you are clear, you are confident enough with what you are talking, why you are talking that way. That is more important. Clear?
Good evening, sir. I have a question.
Sir, I have a question.
Hello.
Yes.
You just mentioned like earlier there are 42 points, but
No, your voice is not clear. Can you speak a little louder?
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, you just mentioned earlier those 42 points. So do we have to memorize or do we have to go in that sequence? How would that work?
I'll tell not to memorize anything, because the way we are going to practice will automatically make you understand the concept and you will be able to explain the things with your own examples. So there's no point that you need to memorize. You will be understanding the business process, and based on the business process you will automatically understand how this is done on SAP. In this similar way I will explain, and I'll give for everything proper examples, and all you need to do is take this example, try to make another example of your own.
So are these
Automatic
42 points are sequential or it goes not in the sequence?
Not in the sequence. When it comes
Okay.
to sequence, when we are learning, we are not supposed to follow any sequence, because tomorrow your first target is your interview. Because when you're learning, the first target or the first challenge that we face is your interview. In your interview, no question is in sequence, correct?
Yeah.
So we must be in a position to understand, and we must be in a position to answer, talk about any topic in any sequence. If we try to understand things in a sequential order, so unconsciously we try to remember things, unconsciously we put things in the same order in our mind. Even if one thing is missed out, it will have an impact on all the other points. That should not happen.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, good evening. I have a question.
Yes.
Yeah. My question is relating to point number one, gathering the business requirement. Right? As you have given an example of the AP side. So suppose if a user has to be informed that we are following the procedure to book the accounting entry related to the expense side, related to service, or like it should be a material base. So normally the organization which are in the AP part has to book only these type of the expenses. Either it is a expense side, service side, or a material side. So like it's a normal procedure for every business. So apart from like if you're talking about the SAP point of view, we will do the expense or from the T code of FD60. If it is a material base, then we will use up the transition through a Miro route. So apart from that, what kind of requirement we should gather from the user? Like because it is a normal practice for every business. So may I
Right.
know what kind of gathering apart from the AP point of view to booking an expenses or a service or a material? What are all the other requirements which we should have to be gathered from the user?
Okay. So let's say if you're talking about AP or accounts payable, before
Sorry,
we face the
one
client.
second. Sorry, sir. I mean, I could not hear his question. Would you mind to repeat the question first, please?
Yeah, so what his point was, let's say we were talking about an example accounts payable, and his question was, if we are talking about the accounts payable and when we talk about the business requirement understanding from the client, how do we know that how their business process is happening? In general, for most of the organizations, the accounts payable business process is quite common. The way they book the expenses, the way they receive the inventory, or the way they receive fixed asset or any consumables and all, it will be more or less the similar process. But as a consultant, what we are going to do, how we are going to understand these kind of a processes. Is this what your question, Mr. Partha?
Yes, sir. My name is Prashant. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Prashant. So this was his question. And we are in a project, assuming that you are in a project, let's say this is an implementation project or a rollout project or a support project. Now, you have been asked by your project manager or you have been asked by your team lead or project lead that you need to work on accounts payable part, and this is the key user or this is the business user from the accounts payable side. Please get in touch with or please have the meeting sessions with the users and understand, gather the requirement so that you will have to configure the business process. If this is what the requirement is given to me when I'm in a project, what I will be doing, I will be talking with the users who are working on accounts payable. So two possibilities. Point number one, I may be working on site in the project. I may be working remotely in the project. If I am working on site in the project, I'll be working and I'll be meeting the users on a daily basis. We will sit face to face. We will talk to discuss about the business. In case if you are talking remotely, I may be sitting in India, my client may be sitting in India, but we both are working remotely. Or I'm sitting in India, my client may be sitting in some other country, US, Europe, or anywhere. What I will be doing, I will be conducting a meeting request, let's say Microsoft Teams meeting invite or Skype meeting invite. When I do this, I need to make sure that the time is limited. I cannot spend the whole day to understand the requirement because I have various other works. The client or user will also have various other works. Let's say the meeting is scheduled for 1 hour or 2 hours. Is only to understand the basic business requirement. Point number one, the expectation here we need to understand from both the sides. So you need to see everything from the consulting point of view, at the same time from the business point of view. From the consulting point of view, we feel that he is the end user or he is the key process user or the key process owner. He knows end to end about their business process, whatever they are doing in accounts payable, for example. On the other side, the user is thinking that he is a SAP FICO consultant. He is very experienced guy. He must have implemented SAP FICO or he must have worked on accounts payable for different clients before. He is thinking the other way around and you are thinking this way. Now, according to you, client knows everything. According to client, you know everything. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, in reality, these two things will sync very rarely. In reality, synchronizing your client mindset with the consulting mindset is very rare. Because let's say I am a consultant, I've learned SAP FICO recently, I've stepped into a job stating some 4 year of experience. I'm sitting in front of the client or I'm sitting in front of the user. Now I need to ask. If I want to ask according to my training, according to my practice, whatever I remember as accounts payable is only the configuration step. I may be talking about you need to create vendor account groups, you need to create vendor number ranges, you need to assign number range to account group, business partner group, this one, create a purchase invoice, create purchase returns, create advance payment, create this. This is what is sitting in my mind as per my practice or as per my previous training. Now, according to this, my mindset is tuned in this way. This is what is accounts payable, correct?
Yes, sir.
The similar way, the same thing I would have configured 5 times, 10 times during my practice. But in reality, this is not called as accounts payable. This is not something that you are going to work as a FICO consultant. You have to talk to your client asking what you do in your accounts payable, how do you create your vendor master, because your accounts payable starts from vendor master. You need to tell how many vendors do you have. Okay, he says we currently have 1,000 vendors. In a month, how many new vendors will get created? Okay, how many type of vendors you have? Do you have local vendors or import vendors? Okay, I have local vendor, I have import vendor, I have third party vendor, I have intercompany vendor, I have one time vendor. How do you purchase from your vendor? Like, do you go directly do a walk-in purchases or you place the orders? No, currently we place the orders. Okay, when you place the order, what kind of items you normally purchase? We purchase materials, we purchase services, we purchase fixed asset and all. What kind of mechanism or approvals you have for your purchases? So when you raise a purchase order, how you will raise the purchase order? Are your purchase orders going for any approvals? If yes, how many level of approvals do you have? After purchase order, what will happen? You do GRN. While doing GRN, how do you handle the exceptions? Let's say you created a purchase order for 100 quantity, you received partially, let's say out of 100 only 80 quantities received. How do you handle these cases? Let's say you placed order for 10 rupees but you received the product, but the product cost is increased or decreased. How do you handle these price differences? What kind of reports are you preparing in your purchasing currently? And how you're accounting? Are you paying to your vendors? In what process? Are you issuing cash payments to the vendor or you are making bank payments? If bank payment, do you issue check? If you are issuing a check, do you issue current dated check or post dated checks? Do you transfer amount to your vendor banks? If yes, how are you transferring? What is the frequency? How many invoices do you book in a month? How frequently you make the payment? Do you make payments on a daily basis or do you make payments once in a week, twice in a week? Like scheduled payments you will do or the normal payment as and when you want you will perform? What kind of reports are you preparing in your vendor? Do you prepare aging reports? How do you calculate vendor aging? How do you create your GRIR? During the month end, what points you will be verifying to close your accounts payable module? These kind of points is what typically you will be talking about with accounts payable when you're meeting your user or when you're discussing with your client. Now, for us to understand these points, first we need to know at least the basic information about this. Correct?
Yes, sir.
If you know at least these points, at least the basic information, that will give you some kind of a boost, that will give you some kind of a confidence. Yes, I know what to talk. Whether you give your best or not is always a secondary, but at least whatever you are talking is meaningful, is accepted by the other person. Instead of this, if I straight away talk, I know the configuration, tell me your vendor account groups, this one should I assign to this or this, which number you want, should I create 1 series, 2 series, 3 series? If I am talking like this, I am straight away representing that I have completed my training recently. Agree? This impact, this impression, you are not supposed to create with anybody. The other person, when you talk, should not realize that you are a trained candidate. The other person should always realize you are an experienced candidate. That is your target and you have to put in your efforts to achieve that. If the other person is asking, you are talking nicely, where are you learning, where did you learn? Though that is a compliment, but that is not the compliment that you want. You want a compliment that the people should ask, where are you working? How many years of experience you have? This is kind of the impression, this is the kind of feedback that you should get from the other person when you talk to them. And this is what you have to keep in your mind. This is what you need to achieve by end of your course. Not difficult, not tough, provided you put in your effort in a systematic way. You try to understand points from practical point of view. Clear?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Hello.
Hey Ajay, I have a question. It has to do with BAPIs and baddies and enhancements.
Yes, we will be talking about BAPIS, BADIS enhancement. Yes, we will be talking about it practically, in which areas, in which scenarios you will be using it.
Okay, beautiful. And also like interfaces, maybe?
Interfaces, we will not be talking in depth, but I'll be explaining you when you were to work on any interface, what exactly is required from your side and what inputs you will be taking, how you will be testing it. Because for interfaces, the major work is from the technical side. Our work is only to make sure what information to be sent, what information to be received. If you are sending the information, from where you need to take the information. If you are receiving the information, where you need to post this information. To that extent, we will be talking about interfaces.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ajay, hi. Um, I'm, since we are going to be dealing with S4HANA, are we going to touch on the business partner concept and how the business partner can be extended to different modules?
Yes.
Okay.
Because without a business partner, we cannot perform any transaction with customer vendor in S4HANA. So that is by default mandatory. Without which we cannot do any AP, any AR.
All right. Thanks.
Hello,
Yeah. Yes.
sir. In our training session, what is the how many industry level we are going to practice?
We will be practicing at general level so that you will be able to adopt any industry specific requirements.
How we can get the information if we like we are just assuming, right? So how it can be the real or not?
Let's say if you wanted to talk specifically from the industry specific, the process that is related to purchasing, sales, manufacturing will be different. But when it comes to accounting, irrespective of the industry, your accounting will remain the constant. If you talk about healthcare, if you talk about automobile, if you talk about food and beverages, if you talk about manufacturing, likewise, the key business processes will remain the same. But whatever the industry specific that they are using, your client is going to explain to you. And if it is a pure industry specific thing for which you have a module called IS, let's say you're talking about retail, you're talking about oil and gas, you're talking about insurance, you're talking about banking, you are going to have IS specific modules, industry specific retail, industry specific oil and gas. But apart from this industry specific, whatever you have, whatever the industries that you're talking about is common across all the across all the industries. The differences you will receive on the purchasing side and on the sales side. This you will be able to understand once you know how they are selling, once you know how they are purchasing. So here you are going to have the involvement of this particular module relevant consultant.
Uh, yes, yes. But I understand. So there is a whatever I know, I have knowledge like I understand like manufacturing. So if this product-based company, then we can get the details easily. When it is service related, like trading business, like online course business, like any retail business. So these type of industry level. So when you practice based on industry level, then we can get into easily, right, to get the requirement
Correct.
when you get into project level. So like that, how many types of industry we are going to practice, like so I want to know. So because
Because
of you are
here,
taking Samsung, right, that is the product based company. So maybe it's correct, right?
because the points that you are referring are directly relevant to the other modules. If you're talking about trading based company, so the trading
Mm.
based company is going to do business, their key business is on sales, correct?
Yeah.
You are going to get different scenarios from sales side, which means ST module is going to give you these are all the different scenarios that we are going to have. For these scenarios, how we are going to account it.
Mm.
Similarly, if you're talking about manufacturing side, from the manufacturing side, if you have different product manufacturing, based on the product, the way it is manufactured differs, and how they wanted to account their cost, how they wanted to analyze their costing, accordingly your scenarios will differ. But when it comes to SAP, the way you configure, the way you understand will remain constant. I am going to explain you in a generic way, wherein you will be able to understand different type of industry specific requirements and you can adopt and then you can work on it without any confusions.
Okay.
Clear? because these
Okay.
points will come from the other modules.
Mhm. Because of if suppose if I am selected as a consultant in the startup level, okay. So because of in the startup level, every module, so people are not having more, right? So because of some startup companies not required, because of one person will handle everything, correct?
Correct.
So
Correct.
FICO
Correct.
person will handle SD also, also, right? So that time, so we have to know the everything, like because of when the person is sitting on the clients to get the requirements, the client is saying that everything related linking with the project systems, modules, SD modules, and PP level. Every modules is linking. So how like my question is, like
All these
when, mm,
integration related points, wherever your finance is connected, I am going to explain. If we are talking about PS, from the
mm,
project system point of view, as a FICO consultant, wherever our involvement is there, those points I will explain. Similarly, from the HCM point of view or from the HR point of view, when the payroll is executed, all these kind of things are executed, what you will be doing, where your involvement is there as a FICO consultant, these points we will be talking. Because when you
okay,
are working in a startup companies, it is not that you are going to configure it is just
mm,
that you are going to handle related transactions. Let's say somebody is creating a grn, they are getting some error. That error may not be related to fi, but you may have to solve it. End of the day, they say that I am unable to post grn, whether the issue is because of accounting or if the issue is related to within If it has come to you stating that I am unable to pass the GRN, no other go, you need to fix it, whether it is related to or if it is related to FI. If you have the
mm,
relevant consultant, you may be checking with consultant. If not there, as a FICO consultant, you need to fix it and make sure that the entry is posted. For these kind of things, whatever the information, whatever the knowledge that is needed, that you are going to gain.
okay,
Okay.
okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, what is in-house cash management?
In-house cash management is part of your treasury and risk management module, TRM. That is not part of FICO, that is part of TRM module. It is all about managing your in-house cash liquidity forecasting, cash flow statements and all. That's part of TRM module, not FICO.
FSCM, right?
Not FSCM, TRM, treasury and risk management.
Now financial supply chain management it changed, right, sir?
Yes. FSCM, we used to call it in ECC, but in S4HANA, we call it as TRM.
Oh,
The other module related information, basic outlines I will be explaining you during your training. Like what will happen in your funds management, what will happen in your project systems, what exactly you do in interfaces or integrations in your central finance, all these kind of things. We may not be discussing in detail, but I'll give you sufficient information so that when you talk, you sound that you are aware of it. So that level of information I will share on most of the topics that are related to FICO. Okay.
oh.
Any other questions?
Sir, on user manual, creation of user manual. So at what level we need to create the user manual? So if client required us for any user manual, so the entire configuration itself we need to share as a user manual, or at what level we need to create? Because we
User
create that
manual,
configuration means it
user manual, when we're talking about, we're not talking about any configuration activity. You're talking only about the end user activity. Let's say I'm talking about vendor creation. I'm talking about vendor creation. If you wanted to create a vendor, Now let's talk about from ECC point of view. Your client is working on ECC and they need a user manual on how to create a vendor, for which you don't need to talk about vendor account group and all. You straight away get into first screen FK01. You need to see which vendor they are talking about, whether they want to create a finance vendor or the logistics vendor. If it is finance vendor, you need to prepare a user manual for FK01. If it is logistics vendor, you need to create a user manual for XK01. When you're creating it, you are going to put the screenshot of FK01. You will have to take that screenshot. You'll have to take that screenshot after inputting the data in capital letters. You have to take the screenshot after giving the data in capital letter, like company code, account group. Copy that screenshot, put that screenshot on the paint, or if you have any other tools, some companies will have different tools to prepare the user manuals. Put that screenshot on some other tool like paint, highlight the fields that the user will have to input. Let's say account group he has to input, highlight it, put an arrow mark, and similarly company code, highlight it, put an arrow mark. Down below or on the same thing, you put a text column, input vendor account group. Just write that content below, input company code. Next one, take the screenshot of the enter button you will have on the top.
Yes, sir.
Correct? So you need to take the screenshot of that enter button, put that enter button icon at the bottom, right? Click on enter or click on continue. You get the next screen, then input all the information, take the screenshot, put it on paint, select the fields that are relevant, because you are going to have, let's say, 20 fields in screen number 1, but according to your client, you know that they are using only 8 fields. You select only the 8 fields which they are using or which are applicable for their business process. Put that input name 1, input name 2, input search term, state, address, all this kind of a thing. For all the screens, whatever they have to follow, you need to put all the screens and prepare this screenshot by giving the detailed explanation. Save this and convert this document into a PDF and share this document as user manual. But nowhere configuration is included, nowhere the drop down list is included.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, what are the main interfaces used in third-party system? SAP FICO.
So these points we will be talking in the actual sessions, not in the overview sessions. Yeah.
Sir, by the time we complete the course, it would be around October. So, do we have openings at that time, or do we
See,
have
your
to wait for
course
that?
will go in a different way. When I say your course will go in a different way, your classes will happen on a daily basis at the specific time. Let's say if you are attending at 9 p.m., you will be attending at 9 p.m., wherein we will be configuring the system right from the beginning in a sequential, in a systematic manner in which you will work in the project. Apart from this session, there will be one more session which I take every day exclusively for your interviews.
Okay.
So in which I will not be configuring the system, but I will be talking about the different functionalities like automatic payment program, BRS, DME, asset accounting, taxes, integrations, all these kind of points we will be talking, we will be understanding. In short, even before you come to a particular topic on your regular session, you will have a fair understanding about that particular topic.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we will not go in such a way that you will not know about it. You will know the topic only when you come to that topic in your session. For example, if you talk about data migration, if you talk about cutover activities, I will not teach you the cutover activities at the end. I don't want you to wait until the end. Even before you post your first document in your company code, I will teach you about all the baseline setting, leading ledger, non-leading ledger, document splitting, parallel currencies, everything. After that, I will teach you how do you understand a trial balance. After that, I will show you how do you use LTMC, how do you use LSMW, how do we upload master data. After that, how do you load the opening balances, in short the legacy balances, into SAP. Only after doing this activity we will be posting first accounting document in the company code. Until this, no accounting document is posted. So by the time you post first accounting document, you know all the company code settings, including leading, non-leading document splitting, multiple currencies, controlling area, cost center, profit center, cost center group, profit center group, cost elements. After that, you will know the trial balance, legacy system, cutover activities, master data migration, legacy data migration, downloading trial balance from SAP, verifying different reports from SAP. After that, we will pass the normal entry. Because tomorrow, if you are working for any project, first what you will do, you will set up the system, correct?
Yes.
After setting up the system, you will load their legacy balances into system, correct?
Yes.
After that, you will deliver the system to the client, correct?
Yes, sir.
Once you deliver the system, user will start posting the entries. In the similar way, I'll show you. You will also practice in the same approach. You will configure, you will upload a trial balance, you will work with LSMW, you will work with LTMC. After that, you will upload the balances, download the balances, verify the trial balance, GL report. Only after that, I will show you how do you use F-02 for posting a document. Till then, we will not post.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. So you stated that we are supposed to gather business requirements. So I do understand that in a project, we're supposed to have a methodology which drive the process. So at what stage do we start gathering this requirement, and what is our role at each stage of the methodology as FI
We will be
consultant?
talking about both methodologies, ASAP methodology and Activate methodology. If currently whatever the implementation that happens is all on S4HANA. On S4HANA, we don't use ASAP, we will be using Activate. But we will be understanding both ASAP methodology, Activate methodology, the difference between Activate and ASAP, at what stage as a FICO consultant, what you will do. We will not be understanding Activate as a whole. Instead, we will be understanding your role, which means as a FICO consultant during a project implementation, according to ASAP or according to Activate, where you are involved, what you will do. This is where we will be mainly focusing on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we will not be focusing in general everything. I will connect everything to SAP FICO consultant and then I'll explain you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
And as a FICO consultant, as known to the SAP ALM tools, sir?
Not required. If you know the basic understanding, that is fine, but that is not mandatory to know.
Okay.
There are certain
Uh,
basic new terminologies, new functionalities that are introduced in SAP. These points we will be talking at the end, because once we understand the basic SAP FICO, once we are able to configure the system, work with the standard functionalities, that is where towards the end I am going to talk about all these points. Because even if you talk
and
about at the beginning, so we will not be able to understand, we will not be able to remember these points.
okay. And
Okay.
one last question what I have. So in the training, we are going to from the basics to advanced level or direct advanced level, sir?
I'll start from the advanced. I'll not start from simple thing. I'll not go to complicated things. I will start from the
Mhm.
complicated things. I'll go to simple things. Going forward, I'll make your SAP FICO simplified, not complicated.
Okay. And so is this useful in the real time, real experience level?
Yes.
Okay.
In the similar way that you work in a project, we will be practicing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the way you get the requirement, when you get a requirement, how you will cross question your client, how do you face different errors, all these kind of things I will be explaining, and I'll be showing all the errors. If this error comes, how you are going to verify, what reports you will verify, from which table you verify the data. If you are facing any problem, how you will test it. If errors are coming, what you are going to do to solve it. We will not be googling. I will never open Google in the entire training duration.
Okay.
Any error that you get, I'll tell you how we need to solve that error, what you need to do, how you need to search, all these kind of things. Practically, I will show without opening Googles.
Okay.
And no PowerPoint presentations, no material, nothing will be given. Everything is on the Excel sheet. Everything is based on our understanding. I don't mind explaining multiple times until you understand.
Okay. And
So, sir,
SAP will providing a test script on S4HANA, right? So,
Yes. Those
and
documents
we
I
are
will share.
okay.
Whatever the standard
Okay.
SAP documentation is there based on the Activate methodology, the full dump I will share.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, you made mention about your manager, your project manager giving you a requirement to set up say account payable to the client, and you have this conversation with this client. Is it safe to say that you it's good for you to draft those questions that are needed during that conversation, so that you are able to control your conversation within the specific time that you have with them?
Yes. For that, first we need to understand the standard functionality of SAP for a particular business process. In short, if we talk about accounts payable, we must know how standard accounts payable works in real time. It's not about in your training time. In real time, if you take any organization, what do they do in the accounts payable? If we are aware of these points, these processes, it is easy for us to get into a meeting or get into a conversation with a user, so that you are clear with what you need to ask, you are clear with what information you require. So these points I'll be explaining in detail. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right, if no questions, let me stop the recording.